Hey guys, Adam Menner here. Today I am solo on the Business of Strength podcast, but I have a super unique podcast. This was a presentation that I did 2 weeks ago for our Business of Strength members. So everybody who's part of our SYP group, which is again our one-on-one personal training for gym owners, in which we literally do everything in your guys' business from helping you look at your accountability chart, your finances, your marketing, your team development, meeting structures, scorecards, and we get really in the weeds to ensure that you are focusing on the right things. Because again, our mission here at the Business of Strength, I know it sounds silly, but we're really trying to create a union of privately owned gyms who want to make the industry a better place. And that's by creating profitable gyms, creating long-term careers for coaches, making true impact in their local communities, and ultimately provide real wages for ourselves that allow us to provide for our families. And so that is something we are super passionate about. Joe, Dan, obviously myself, but everybody in the group, everybody who's a part of our community. And that is what we do at the Business of Strength. A couple announcements before I get into what this actual podcast is about. The first is our next big event. This is 3 years in a row. So 3 years in a row is the strongest year retreat at the Canopy Hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona, September 18th and 19th. And I'm sure some of you have seen the advertisements, you've been getting our emails. And look, here's the reality. The reality is you have two options. One is you live the same year that you've been living for the rest of your life and nothing ever changes, and you wonder why nothing ever changes. And number two is you put your foot in the ground and you tell yourself, that's it. I am done. I'm ready to make a change. I want my business to grow. I want my coaches to feel comfortable leaving here. I need stability and predictability. And most importantly, I want to build a gym business that I am proud of. And that is what we're teaching there, because the number one leverage that you have in a service-based business like fitness is people. And we are talking all about developing people, everything from how we're doing our internship process, our on-the-job training, the ideology of building a great people-based business, a place where coaches want to work, and so forth. And look, a little testament to myself, I'm sure you guys know, I was an intern here at Varsity House Gym literally 10 years ago, almost to the date. It was August 2015. Well, we really started in June. And Joe Riggio and Dan Goodman, my now partners, kicked my butt. And during that internship, I wasn't really sure if this is what I wanted to do, but I put my head down. I worked super hard, and the absolute amazing leadership and culture that was created here at Varsity House is why I stayed. And I went from intern to part-time while in college to full-time to a head coach to a manager and now a co-owner and partner in Varsio's personal training and the Business of Strength. And it is possible. And so we're going to break down how you can do that with members on your team as well. So I'm super excited about that, guys. That is in Arizona, the Canopy Hotel, September 18th and 19th. So today, what I'm going to talk about with you guys is an amazing experience that I had. I've been very, very blessed and fortunate to be able to rub elbows with some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, not even just in the fitness space, but outside. And 2 weeks ago, a buddy of mine, he recommended me for a private mastermind group with none other than Jesse Itzler. If you guys don't know, Jesse Itzler is a savant. He is just like he is in person as he is on social media as it pertains to business, doing hard things, and building a life resume. And so what I got to do is I legit spent 48 hours at his house with a very small group of people where we did business workshops, guest speakers, private chefs, very, very hard physical challenges. Of course, we did the sauna, cold plunge. I mean, I hung out in a sauna with this dude, Jesse Itzler, for more than 6 hours over the course of 48 hours. And it was amazing. And to be honest with you, this might sound very silly, but it was transformative. And now, as I come back, just the way that I look at life, business, and what have you. And so I'm going to share with you guys 10 lessons that I took away from spending 48 hours with Jesse Itzler and his team, and how now we truly have a friendship and what that's going to look like moving forward, but how it pertains to the psychology around yourself, your life, and your business. Let's get to the show. Thanks, guys. All right, guys. So I don't want to waste time here. As people come in, obviously Joe's helping me out and we'll
Yep.
get the tech support. So I'm not gonna, there's the elephant in the room is, yeah, last week I had an amazing opportunity for 48 hours to hang out at Jesse Itzler's private house with Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, his wife. And, you know, a lot of times people in their careers, you have these different stages of development, if you will, right? As you remember, you're a fitness professional, you're just a coach, you like helping people, a light bulb goes off, everybody thinks they're an entrepreneur. So then they go off and they try to start their training business, then it's not as easy. So you have multiple phases of transformative experiences that truly shape and define the trajectory of your career. And everybody on here has a story, right? Everybody on this call has a story of different decisions. If we were to reverse engineer from where you're at right now, everybody has pinpoint decisions in terms of what they did or transformative experiences that allowed them to get to where they're at right now. And for me, this one was one of those transformative experiences. And you could chalk it up to, oh, well, you're with Jesse or you're at this event. Of course, everybody wants to go do these fun things. But here's the reality, right? This experience was very private. It was 20 people from around the world, New Zealand, Australia, Africa, New York City, Texas, California, and you were invited to be here. So he threw up a link on a story one time, and then that was it. And they shut it down. And then they personally started inviting people. And I was recommended to go to this event. So right off the bat, I just know, all right, I'm not supposed to be here. I got the butterflies in my stomach. Okay, this is a little different. But when I was there, I want to break down the process and 10 lessons that I learned that were transformative of how I'm going to conduct myself, our gyms, and our community here at the Business of Strength moving forward. And I truly believe sharing this with you, something that was a very unique experience, a one-on-one that not many people get, and I'm very grateful for it. And that's why I want to share it with you guys. Right. Well, we're going to start here. This is just a question. I know Dan likes to do this and he punts it to the group, so I don't want to steal his thunder. But I have a true question for some of you guys, and I'd like you guys to answer. We're only going to go a couple people. But my question to you is, what is one example of how you have lived your life by design this week? Meaning, when you look at your schedule every Sunday, the upcoming schedule for the week, and you're looking at your Google Calendar, maybe your POS system, and you're just going through it, are you designing things that are intentionally happening every single week, right? I've spoken to many of you, and a lot of it is, I'm busy. Oh, I didn't have time to do that. I'm overwhelmed. I have this. But we have to remember something. All of you are business owners, meaning all of you asked for the problems and the stress that you have right now, which means only one person is in control of the problems and the stress that you have right now. So, Steve Passante, what is one example of how you have lived your life by design this week? Give an answer and then pick somebody.
I've been able to keep on track with my training schedule, rebounding from the Spartan race and doing a lot for the nonprofit recently. So that's been pretty ideal for me coming up
Great.
with a 60-mile hike next week. It's kind of nice to be able to just have that rigidness away
Sure.
from the gym. Um, and I'll shout out for Joel for next.
Hey guys, thanks, Steve. I'm in Costa Rica right now, which is a choice that was made because I trust the people that I put in place to kind of run the business while I'm not there. So I'm still obviously running things from afar,
Mhm.
but by design, I wanted to be able to be here and not have the business fail and not worry about it. So that's pretty.
Yeah, and you're crushing it. Pick one more person.
Morgan.
Um, I by design this week, I have been able to get my workouts in, which in my runs specifically, that's something that I have struggled to do, especially in summertime when our son's out of school, like he had camp this week. So I was able to do that and still make meetings and everything like that, which has been a struggle for me in the past, especially like looking back at last summer. So I wanted to kind of do the summer differently and being able to enjoy work and enjoy personal life as well.
For sure. Absolutely. In speaking with a lot of these people and these individuals, the two things that jumped off the page to me were intentionality with their schedule and resources. That was it. Intentionality with scheduling and resources. Those are the two big things that jumped off the page, obviously, amongst the other 10 lessons. But we have control. And that was something that, just being super personal, because this is kind of my experience, if you will. That's something I used to shy away from a lot. I would put everything else first. Okay, more meetings, a blank thing here. What could I get done here? Okay, I need to do this here. I need to do this here, which led me to being super stressed and overwhelmed. And then in the reality, at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I joined the team and Joe and Dan because I wanted to live my life by design and be around a group of people who are all headed towards one mission and we support each other. And now I'm not, and not now, but then I was not doing that. And so it's super important when you look at your week, schedule the things that matter the most, and then you work backwards from there. Oops, what just happened? Oh no. Nobody look. Nobody look. What's going on here? Sorry, guys. Don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look. Okay, okay.
Looked away. I looked away.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Cool. Okay. And lastly, I'll end at this point. Sorry for the hiccup. As leaders and as people of influence, meaning influence to your members, influence to your team, influence to your communities, here's the reality. You cannot give what you do not have. Right? It's just a fact. You cannot give what you do not have. So if you're not taking care of your body, you can't teach others how to take care of your body. If you are not consistent with your work and with your schedule, you cannot have coaches and employees be consistent with theirs. With your community and your members, if you're not doing what you say you are going to do repeatedly, that is called bad service. And so when you live your life by design, what you are actually doing is you are filling your cup so you have more to pour to others. And when that cup becomes super empty, you are not the leader, the husband, the wife, the parent, the community member that you are supposed to be. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that is why businesses fail. That's the truth. It is the truth. It is because the leader has nothing left to pour. 2 years ago, at the Business of Strength retreat, I use this slide exactly. And the number one thing, if you guys know Jesse, he talks about making a seat at the table. And his quote is, if you don't have a seat at the table, make one. And the story from my end is I knew the guy on the right who was friends with the guy in the middle, Devin. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep going up this chain. And one day I'm going to be able to hang out with Jesse. And the note and the takeaway from here with make a seat at the table is the number one limiting factor in a lot of the conversations that Joe, Dan, and I and Mike have with you guys, everything comes down to belief system. And the higher up the chain that you go, the more the constraints are off of what they believe. And sitting here and I'm like, okay, I know this guy, DJ. Okay, now I got to get now with Devin. Now Devin's in the circle. I was like, okay, who's the next person? And I don't care hell or high water. I got to hang out with the next top dog. And a lot of you, the way that you need to look at your life by design and your business is about who do I want to associate with and how can I provide value to them and how can I take this and bring it back to our business. And so don't take no for an answer and make a seat at the table if that seat is not available. And here at the Business of Strength, I truly believe that's one of the things that we're doing where we're pushing the envelope of we're going to make seats at tables for all of us because we are a group of professionals who want to make the industry a better place. And I encourage you guys to do the same. And lastly, here's a thing, and I just put this, this is so stupid. It really is, but I thought it was very meaningful because people who are very, air quotes, important in this world, they value what they do with their time, attention, and social media. And I was like, okay, I want to make a difference. And I want to show what we're doing is different. Because if I get a seat at the table at Varsity House in the Business of Strength, we are different. You may have deep pockets. This person may have a fund. They may do all this whatever shit. But we serve people. And same with you guys. We serve people every single day. Whether it's our team, the people, we're rolling out mats, we're going the extra mile, we're showing up at games, we're shaking hands, we're going to weddings, we're going to events. because we care about the best interest of other people. And I knew that that was going to be our separating factor at Varsios and the Business Strength when we go to the table with people like Jesse Itzler and Sarah Blakely, where their values align the same. And so I was like, I want to be memorable and I'm going to be yourself. And this was just a silly way of people that I met literally commenting, being like, dude, it was great hanging out with you, great seeing you, sending me messages. And I was like, I know what we're doing here at Varsios and the Business of Strength is different than anywhere else in the world. And now it's just time for us to get a seat at the table with some of the top dogs. And I thought this was a great representation of us doing that, right? Of us doing that. So here are the 10 key lessons from billionaires, literally. And I'm going to take away and talk about what we can implement here with our businesses. Number one, obviously, it's no secret. I just alluded to it with my circumstance, but create a seat at the table, right? We know in sales, there's a lot of touch points, and Mike Lisi talks about them. Okay, you need to double dial, send an SMS, and leave a voicemail. That's 4 points of contact per one sale. They don't answer, do it again the next day. They finally answer. That's 8 points of contact just to get one singular sale or even a consult. So my question to you is, what table do you guys want to sit at? And make a seat, and you have to be relentless. You have to lead with value, be relentless, and not take no for an answer, unless you're overbearing, right? Unless you're overbearing and maybe your personalities don't jive, which energy is a real thing, and you guys know that. But what tables do you guys want to sit at? What local businesses, what people of authority will literally transform your business if you get to sit down with them? That's super important. And a little caveat to this, every week I have a thing called a Dream 1000, right? I didn't create it, but a Dream 1000 is, I made a list of 1,000 people, Jesse was on there, that I thought would just transform my life personally, transform Varsios, transform the Business of Strength. And a lot of these relationships, getting Devin to sit down with us, now doing stuff at Sweet Honey Farm, it's Jesse Itzler now. I knew that one day we were going to be able to do so, and I didn't take no for an answer. So I encourage you guys, I'm not saying be distracted, but at Varsity House or at your gyms, what local communities, what people in authority, what members that you know could transform your business, and how do you get a seat at the table with them? Number two, I mean, Morgan, you said it before, you're just talking a lot about your training. Your health is either an asset or a liability. That is it. It is either an asset or a liability. That is why you get insurance on yourself when you run a business, because your health is either an asset or a liability. So whether you're a business owner, a high performer, a manager at your gym, a busy mom or dad, you cannot take care of others unless you take care of yourself first. And it shows. When you're not working on yourself, you don't lead well. When you don't lead well, you have nothing to say. When you're not working on your fitness and you're trying to contribute from a fitness standpoint and you don't look the part, I don't care. I don't trust you. And so looking at your schedule, where are anchored times to ensure that you are pouring water into your cup so that you can pour water into others. Lesson 3, they used this phrase all weekend. We were saying it while we were in the lake. Yes, and. A lot of people have the mindset, yeah, but, right? Yeah, but Joel, you're just on my screen. I'm just making something up. It's like, Joel, I think if we got the marketing together and we ran this campaign, I think that X, Y, and Z could happen. No, yeah, for sure, but it just might not work. Yeah, but like that just sounds like I don't know if we could do that. It's yes, and. So being life or business ready is making sure that your mindset is on the positive outcome. Yes, and if you are a young coach, if you're leading other coaches, the number one thing that Joe, Dan, and I talk to our team about is be available. Yes, and. Hey, are you available to work Saturdays? Yes, and what else do you need? Hey, look, I'm not going to be in Friday. I know it's short notice. You mind coming in at 6 a.m.? Yeah. And how else can I help you? That singular trait, whether it's on a small level, you helping clients, whether it's on you helping yourself, whether it's you helping other businesses, whether it's you getting a seat at the table. Yes, and gets rewarded. Yes, and gets rewarded. Number 4, And this was the biggest lesson for me personally that I took away, which is build a life resume, not just a business resume. In business, the goalpost always moves. Believe me. Jordan and I were yesterday, when we have our meeting, we were literally discussing, well, the goalpost is moving. What if we do this? Or what if this happens? What if this? That's inevitable. You are an owner and an entrepreneur for a reason. That is where your brain goes. But something you have 100% control over is your life. And the trips that you take, the rocks, Stephen, that you go on, all the little things that begin to accumulate compound into this awesome life resume. And here's the reality. A lot of the people that we train at Varsity House are business owners, entrepreneurs, and high performers. Let me tell you, they do not want to be around, boring people. Believe me. I do not want to be around boring people. I want to be around people who are pushing the absolute envelope of their personal health, development, challenges, business. I want to see what that looks like. And that gets me going. Hence why I loved being at this event. So whether it's with your family, and it's, hey, we do this thing every single week, or I'm home for bedtime every single night, or I do one hard masogi, which we've talked about every single year. Build a life resume that you look back on. And I promise you, what happens is when you're working on this life resume, your business also does the same because it goes back to principle number one. You cannot give what you do not have. Number five, and this one's, off the heels of number four. Sorry, but be more interesting. If you want bigger opportunities, you have to attract them. So nobody was interested in the fact that I said, like, yeah, no, like I wake up at 6 a.m., I eat a healthy breakfast every day, and I help people. It's like boring. That's boring. Building your life resume, doing hard things, pushing the envelope of your physical, mental fitness and your business will get you in the door because you are noticed by bigger opportunities. If you go to let's say you go to a client, or let's say you go to another business that if you guys did a joint venture together, it would transform your business, an amazing partnership. And you go in there and you say, yeah, but we do this and we do this for our team, and this thing happens, and so forth and so on. It's like, holy shit, that's awesome. I want to be a part of that. But if you try to get bigger opportunities and you say, yeah, we just do X, Y, and Z, or, we're just kind of Manila, of what value are you providing those people? Of what value are you providing those people? So you have to attract them, do hard things, build cool shit, be yourself, and you attract what you contribute. All right, that was the one line that I took away with you. Attract what you contribute. Lesson 6, money won't solve your problems. Right? Money will not solve your business's problems or your personal problems. Once your basic needs are met, obviously, so food, water, shelter, basic needs are met, and you have maybe a little bit of expendable income, is more money great? Of course, that's why we're here. But if you have fundamental issues in your business, maybe they're operational, maybe they're people, maybe they're marketing. If you were to get $1 million loan, that will not solve your problem. You will continue to do those things because the leading indicator of future action is past result. And so understanding that you have to address the root cause of what's happening in your business. You have to address the root cause of what's happening personally. Money will not solve those problems. The guy to my left of me was 32 years old. He was my age, and he just got done raising $500 million because they're going to have a public exit. They're going to do an IPO. But he was kind of a miserable prick. Nobody wanted to be around him. He was on the verge of divorce, and that is why he was at the event. He knew personally that he needed to change. So money won't solve your problems. Lesson 7, community is the essence of life. and I'm going to do a separate, talk. I do some of the Sunday sermons, but I'm going to do a separate talk on community and really how to bolster your community from an event standpoint, operational standpoint, the whole nine. I mean, they gave a master class on how to build community, as I stated prior, but your community in your gyms is the essence of life. And one of the things that we're talking about literally is, okay, how could we redirect marketing spend to doing more cool stuff with our members at the gyms, more cool stuff with our team? Because the better experience, the better things that we provide for them, you get tenfold. And so I'm going to talk, like I said, separately about truly how to run great community events from an operational standpoint, marketing, joint venture, new member stuff. They broke that all down, but understanding the community could be your friends, your family, your businesses, your inner circle. You want to have a community that shares common values, that does outlandish things together, spend maybe a little bit more than you should, but ultimately you guys create memorable moments together. And whether that's with, again, your family, your friends, your members, these things matter a ton, right? And the stronger your community, the more resources that you have to be able to do things. And every single person that was working at Jesse's event was either on his team or his best friends, and none of them were famous. It was the community that he built over his life. Lesson 8 for our big leaders in the room. CEO stands for Chief Energy Officer. Executive, yes, but the real definition is Chief Energy Officer. Leaders lead with energy. The energy that you bring to your business every single day, the energy that you bring to meetings, the enthusiasm that what you have towards what you're doing is number one. Because it is your job to get people excited about the mission of your business and to get your members excited about why being a member at your gym is that important. And energy is a real thing. This sounds very fugazi, but being around Jesse, his energy was so different that it was contagious. You wanted to be a part of whatever he was doing. And think about it. Is there any other greater influence than being a person that people want to be around and do things for? You want to talk about being a leader of your business, not even having to tell people to do, they're already on board with who you are as a person and the energy that you bring to your organization. Lesson 9, think 100 times bigger. Small minds solve small problems. If the problems that you are still having today were problems that you were having 3 months ago, this is the meanest thing I will ever say on this call to any of you. It is because you are thinking too small and you are small-minded. When you think 100 times bigger, small problems don't even become problems. They're called constraints, and you just remove them. Who could do this? Do we need to do this? No problem. Next. But when you're thinking bigger, now you begin to reverse engineer that process. Who, not how. Do we need money? How could we do this? Think about the impact. And when this funny thing happens, when you think 100 times bigger, and even if you don't hit it, you're still 70% higher than how you were thinking. Ah, this member is really bothering me. There's just no time to do X. In the sales, I can't get this one coach to do this one thing. That. Small minds solve small problems. And guess what? When you consistently think like that, the only thing that you win is you get to keep the problem. So if you want to relinquish small problems, think 100 times bigger. Lesson 10. Tell your story every day. Tell your story every single day. This was something that they said, but this was something that, again, I tried to lead with when I did my pass the mic. And I was like, I'm not going to talk about numbers in our business. Nobody here cares, and I'm the brokest person in this room. But my story was unique to me. And so tell your business's story every single day. It's called social media for a reason. And people relate to people who tell great stories. Guys, Varsity House, when we first started, we were in a storage closet. Then we did this. Do you remember the time? Do you remember how this happened? Dude, when I was an intern, Joe made me throw up in a blazer outside for an hour. What? That's freaking crazy. I know, dude, I'm still here. How crazy is that? That's my story. That's my story, and I get to tell it every single day. And guess what I do? When I bring energy to my story, I attract. And when I attract, you have influence. And when you have influence and you think 100 times bigger, people want to be a part of that mission and you move that mission. And then you build a life resume. When you build a life resume, you attract bigger people and bigger opportunities. And that is truly how your businesses grow.